As you noticed from the previous example, yeah, it's all cool to retrieve information from a RESTful service, but how about if I want to save information into it? How about if I want to pass parameters through the URI and then retrieve some information? But in this case, we're going to send some information, persist it, and then display it to make sure that it got persisted. Okay, so I'm going to create here something it's just for this tutorial, for this purposes of this tutorial. I'm just going to create a quick static class called people repository, and I'm just going to transfer all this information that I saved previously. I'm going to save it statically so that I can refer to it later on. So I'm just going to make this capital. Right here, I'm just going to replace this call by saying people repository dot people dot to array. This way, what I'm doing is I'm gonna keep all these references within my service, within the context of the service while the service is running. Is gonna keep this in memory, so I can save information into it. I can retrieve this information, and that way I can test like the persistence. So how do we pass information into the service, not just making a request and getting a response, but I want to send information to it. Let's come back to the service, and we're going to define a new operation contract that will allow us to pass these parameters. You just define it the same way. You can use the same method get, the same information that you have over here. In this case, this method signature will change. I'm just going to say void save person. In the save person method, I'm going to pass some parameters, which are the ones required to create a person object. So I'm going to pass a string name, string last name, and as an integer the age. Now how do I tell the RESTful service, hey, these are my parameters, do this for me? In this case, we're going to define another URI template, which will be called save people, or save person in our case. It's going to be just one person. And now if we want to pass our parameters, we can use either a directory like structure, or we can even use the query string format. How do we use the query string format? Just as a regular query string format, passing key value pairs, like name value pairs. In our case, we're going to pass, let's say, name. And if you want to, this is going to be just the let's say the name that will hold the variable that will hold the parameter that will pass through the URI. Now, if we want to pass exactly that parameter, so that our method, so that we can bind it and associate it to our operation contract, we have to define the same name of the variable that is used as a parameter, but we have to put it within within curly braces. So we have to say name like this. Then I define the next variable within the query string, which will be last name, then age. Everything is passed into the service as everything is passed as a string. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this signature and I'm going to make it a string. But within it, we have to define, we have to convert it back into an integer, and then persist that information. So yeah, this is basically what you need to do. You just provide the operation contract, provide the web invoke with the same information, but the URI template is what changes. You need to pass the save person. You have to say save person and pass this query string like format. You can use also the directory structure URI format, or just do this one. This one is like a little bit more straightforward because you make it look like a query string. So why don't we just take this for a spin? Let's go back to here to our implementation. I'm going to implement this the interface just so that I can receive this information. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to receive the information from the service. I'm going to parse it, I'm going to convert it to whatever it requires, and then I'm going to add it to this collection. Then I'm going to get the people again. I'm going to call this operation again just to make sure that the information that I sent was saved. So let's try this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it into pieces so that we can see clearly what we're doing. So we're going to create a person object. We're going to create a new person with the first name, bin name, last name, bin last name, and age. actually the age, since I receive it as a string, I have to return it to I have to convert it into a string. So I'm gonna say convert dot to int32 age. So I'm going to convert that string into an integer, and now that I have my person object created, now I'm able to add it to the people repository. So I'll say people repository dot people dot add person. We did not specify any reply to the user, so it might look like nothing has been persisted, but we're going to just send information and make the request right back. Or what we could do is just change the signature so that it just retrieves everybody again, like after it has been persisted. So why don't we try that? Let's just change the signature real quick. We're going to turn it into a person array. So the safe person will receive the information and will retrieve that updated list right back. So what we could do is, again, person, turn it into an array, and we're just going to return this whole line right here. So now what we've done is created another operation which we will expose through the RESTful service. We will call it saying, as defined in a URI template, safe person. We're going to pass the parameters using the query string, the query string format, and then we should be able to get the information that we have persisted. So why don't we try this? Let's rebuild it just in case, making sure that everything is good. And now I say we can just say view in browser because we've already established. Well, this I'm gonna have to say browse again. So browse with Firefox. I'm gonna make it my default and browse. So now that we have our service, we're gonna just for sanity check, we're gonna get again say get people. Just make sure that everything is fine. Now let's try to do the one that we define as safe person. So if you say safe person by itself, what do you get? Yeah, you see, you actually get null because there was nothing persisted. So how do I pass this information into it? So I have to say name, Roman, last name, Jacques, and age 31. So if I pass this, I should be able to receive, as you can see, I get the information that I had previously and the new information that I added. I shouldn't have used my same name. I'm gonna add another one. For example, Joe Smith, age 53. And let's try it again. If I just enter, I should be able to receive the information, the updated information that I saved into the service. I passed the information into the RESTful service. I received the information right back with the updated results, and that's how you pass information into a RESTful service. In other tutorials, I will explain how to consume RESTful web services in mobile environments or from your mobile applications such as Android, BlackBerry, or Windows Phone 7, in which is becoming really widespread and common these days to create RESTful services and consume them from mobile applications for their simplicity and efficiency, and also less overhead both on the mobile client and the server. So stay tuned for those. This is it from me. I'm Roman Jacques from thearcoders.com. Until next time.